So, John, one of the things when we talk about diversity and inclusion, right? Let's let's move into the part in terms of accessibility. Let's talk a little bit about your perspective, right, on really evening the playing field,
Yeah.
right? So people that have a little bit different characteristics in life can have that same digital equity that the rest of us do.
Yeah. I think when I was going through my vision loss, I was trying to use my weakest asset to be able to look at computer screens. And anytime I had it, I wanted something to be on a computer screen. I wanted to be able to see it because I couldn't see paper anymore. But I could blow up things. I could, invert the color on a computer screen, and that was really great for me. But as my vision was deteriorating, that became impossible. So, it was really just a challenging component. I felt that personally. I felt that if I wasn't going to be able to use a computer, what kind of career could I have? And so when I started to learn about screen readers and other assistive technology that people who are blind were using, it was almost, again, I was given back another chance in life to be able to continue my career trajectory, to be able to just interact with my friends, because we're using our phones, we're using email on our computers. And so when I learned about accessibility, it was like, this is what we have to do. This is the barrier that's hindered me throughout my career, because some of the content wasn't available to be able to be seen using just blowing it up or magnifying it. But then I knew that if we really wanted to create jobs for people and we wanted to remove the barrier of employment for people with disabilities, it was going to be focused on accessibility.
No, that's pretty powerful. Let's dig in a little deeper. Tell me a little bit about what LCI Tech does.
Yeah. So LCI Tech is a full-service accessibility firm. We provide accessibility testing, usability testing, training, and also program management, as well as ongoing monitoring to make sure that people's websites are accessible. And today, right now, it's even more important with a recent lawsuit that just came, the Domino's lawsuit, that the Supreme Court just stated that that under the ADA now, that people have to make sure that their websites are accessible for people who are blind.
Wow.
And so now it's becoming even more important that companies are making sure that their digital content's accessible, not only for the right thing to do, but also from a legal aspect.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Now, when you think about your ability to do not just automated testing, but talk to the folks about the fact that your team is built with people that have that are blind.
Yeah.
And they not only use the automated technology, but they are actual users and give a company an authentic view of whether or not their website is up to snuff.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Like you said, anyone can run an automated test, but unless you actually have actual people doing the testing, you're not actually going to be fully accessible. The automated test kits is around 25 to 40%. But having that user come in and do the testing is critical to be fully accessible. Add on top of that, we actually have people who are native users of assistive technology. These are people who are low vision, these are people who are blind, these are the actual people who are dealing with those accessibility challenges. So who's better to test it than them?
No, that's phenomenal. If you had a magic wand, let's take this now. We talked about your experience, we talked about LCI Tech a little bit. Now let's look at our macro environment. If you had a magic wand, what would you do, right, to help people that needed better and more available accessibility? What would you do to make change?
Yeah, wow. To really get the change, I think that, aside from changing the culture, we need to we need to make sure that people understand the need of accessibility, not just because of the legal aspects. It's the right thing to do. There's a business case. There's all of these things. So, I think that if we could really get a cultural change, get people to understand that accessibility is not only for people with disabilities, but it's going to help everybody. We think about universal design. I'm sure 20 years ago when people were forced to, or 30 years ago when the ADA said we need to have wheelchair ramps at restaurants,
Gotcha.
Those restaurants back then were like, oh gosh, we have to put the wheelchair ramp for people with wheelchairs. 30 years ago, people with strollers weren't necessarily going to restaurants. Now think about it, I'm a family man with 2 little kids. We take that stroller everywhere we go.
That's awesome.
And so if it wasn't for that wheelchair ramp that was designed for somebody using a wheelchair for accessibility, we wouldn't be able to bring our children into that restaurant.
That's phenomenal. Well, one of the things I want to tell you is, number one, thanks for participating in the conference we had today. But more importantly, thanks for being a champion for accessibility, and thanks for being a leader where we need more. and I appreciate it very much, and I'm glad to know you.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you, John.
Thank you.